Alrighty, let's spin the globe and see where we land. Don't forget to say stop. Slow, slow, slow. It is the Netherlands.
Right. Let's have a look at where the Netherlands are exactly on the globe. Look, here we are in Europe. See this little country tucked between Germany and Belgium? That's the Netherlands. But wait, want to know something that'll blow your mind? Most of this entire country is actually below the ocean, like lower than the sea that's sitting right next to it. Picture this. The ocean is flowing along at normal height, but the land where people live their everyday lives is way down below that level. It's like the whole country is sitting in a giant bowl, and the ocean is up at the rim. Now, you'd think that would be impossible, right? How can millions of people live somewhere that should be underwater? Well, the Dutch people figured out something absolutely brilliant. They built these enormous walls all around their country, massive concrete and stone barriers called dikes, to keep all that ocean water exactly where it belongs. But here's where it gets really exciting. These aren't just any old walls. Some of them are taller than houses, and they stretch for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers, like a giant protective hug around the whole country. Oh, and I've got to tell you this incredible story from 1953. One freezing February morning, a 15-meter section of one of these protective walls suddenly cracked and broke apart. The ocean came rushing through like a massive waterfall, heading straight for 3 million sleeping people. But there was this brave ship captain called Evergroen, and he had this enormous ship called the Twee Hebroters. The emergency crews radioed him and said, "Captain, we need your ship to become a giant cork." So this amazing man drove his huge ship, 18 meters long, right up to the broken wall. Then he turned it sideways and wedged it perfectly into the gap, like plugging a bathtub drain with the biggest plug you've ever seen. While his ship held back the ocean, workers rushed to pile thousands of sandbags around it. It actually worked. His ship became part of the wall and saved millions of people from flooding. So that's the Netherlands, a country that probably shouldn't exist, sitting below the ocean, but thriving because the people there are absolutely brilliant at solving impossible problems. Ready to see how they've organized this amazing place? Remember how beautifully flat this country is? Well, that flatness makes it dead easy to organize everything. The Netherlands is divided into 12 provinces, like 12 perfectly shaped puzzle pieces that fit together. Each province has its own character. Some are famous for cheese, others for flowers, and some for their beautiful old cities. Now here's something that always makes me giggle. Amsterdam is the official capital city. But guess what? All the important government people work somewhere completely different. They all go to work in The Hague, which is in a totally different province. It's like having your bedroom in one house and your kitchen in the house next door. Amsterdam is where the royal palace sits, all grand and golden. But The Hague is where the Prime Minister wakes up every morning and decides what's happening in the country. Rotterdam, meanwhile, has this absolutely massive port where container ships from China and Brazil and everywhere else come floating in with their cargo. The brilliant thing about this country is how tiny it is, but also how perfectly connected everything is. You could literally cycle from the top to the bottom in just 3 days. Some people actually do this for fun. There's this legendary thing called the Elfstedentocht, which means 11 cities tour. Way back when winters were much colder, the canals and rivers would freeze solid as concrete. When that happened, thousands of people would strap on ice skates and race between 11 different cities, all in one single day. Picture this, 200 kilometers of frozen waterways with people skating past windmills and under bridges, through city centres and countryside, from dawn until dark. Some people took 15 hours to finish. They'd get a special medal and certificate and bragging rights for the rest of their lives. These days, it doesn't freeze thick enough anymore, so lots of people do the same route on bicycles instead. They still call it the Elfstedentocht, and it shows you exactly how those flat fields and waterways we spotted from space make it possible to travel everywhere so easily. No massive mountains blocking your way, no huge deserts to cross, just smooth paths and gentle bridges connecting everything together like a giant web. What a clever way to build a country, don't you think? Right, we've seen it from space and learned how it's organized. Now let's actually walk around and see what daily life looks like. The very first thing that would catch your eye? Bicycles. Absolutely everywhere you look. There are more bikes in this country than there are people. Over 23 million of them. The bike parking areas look like enormous metal forests with thousands and thousands of bicycles all squeezed together in perfect rows. But it's not just that there are lots of bikes. It's how people use them. Kids cycle to school in chattering groups. Mums cycle to the shops with enormous baskets full of groceries. Dads cycle to work in their smart suits. Grandparents cycle to visit friends, even in the rain and snow. And speaking of rain, Dutch people have a saying. There's no such thing as bad weather, only wrong clothes. So they just pop on their bright yellow rain gear and keep pedalling along the canals like nothing's happening. Now those canals are lined with the most extraordinary houses you've ever seen. They're like colourful books, standing perfectly straight on a bookshelf, really tall and really narrow, painted in blues and greens and reds and yellows. Here's the fascinating story behind those skinny houses. Centuries ago, people had to pay taxes based on how wide the front of their house was. So clever Dutch families thought, right then, we'll build our houses as narrow as humanly possible. Some of them are only 2 meters wide. That's narrower than most people's bedrooms. But they couldn't live in houses the size of wardrobes, so they built up instead of out. 4 stories, 5 stories, sometimes even 6 stories tall. The staircases inside are so steep and narrow, they're practically ladders. And because the houses are so skinny, furniture can't fit through the front door. So they built special hooks at the very top of each house. And when someone buys a new sofa or wardrobe, they hoist it up with ropes and pulleys and swing it through an upstairs window. You can still see those hooks today, like little question marks poking out from the rooftops. Step outside the cities, though, and whoosh, it's like entering a completely different world. Endless green fields stretching to the horizon, with black and white cows that look like they're wearing fancy tuxedos. And in spring, oh my goodness, Those fields explode into the most incredible colours you've ever imagined. Tulip fields that look like someone spilled paint across the countryside. Bright red patches next to sunny yellow ones. Deep purple strips next to pale pink ones. People come from all over the world just to walk through these flower rainbows and take pictures. What a brilliant way to make every single day feel special. You've seen all those bikes and narrow houses. Now let me tell you why people all over the world know about this amazing place. Those incredible rainbow flower fields I mentioned. They're tulips, and the Netherlands grows more tulips than anywhere else on Earth. Billions and billions of them, in every colour you can imagine, and some you probably can't. But here's the really cool bit. Tulips didn't even start here. They came from Turkey hundreds of years ago. But the Dutch fell so completely in love with them that they became tulip experts. They figured out how to grow them in their perfect flat fields, how to create new colours, how to make them bloom at exactly the right time. During spring, from March to May, the whole country becomes like a giant outdoor art gallery, painted with flowers. Families pack picnics and cycle through the tulip fields. Kids run between the coloured rows. And everyone takes about 1 million photos. Now, remember those cheese wheels we glimpsed at the markets? The Dutch have been making cheese for over 2,000 years. Golden wheels of Gouda, red waxed rounds of Edam, some wheels so enormous they need special trolleys to move them around. There are traditional cheese markets, where people dress up in white clothes and funny hats. And they carry these massive cheese wheels on wooden stretchers, weighing each one and testing little samples to check if they're perfect. It's like a cheese theatre show that happens every single week. And those tall structures with the spinning arms, those are windmills. And they're not just pretty decorations. For hundreds of years, they've been the hardest working machines in the country. Some pump water out of low areas. Some grind grain into flour. Some even saw wood for building houses. The amazing thing is, many of them are still working today, over 400 years after they were built. Their enormous wooden arms catch the wind and spin around, powering all sorts of clever mechanisms inside. But here's my absolute favourite Dutch invention. Stroopwafels. Back in 1784, there was this baker in the city of Gouda called Gerard Campuzen. He hated wasting food, so when he had leftover cookie crumbs and leftover syrup, he thought, what if I squish these together? So he pressed the crumbs and syrup between 2 super thin waffle biscuits and created something so delicious that people started travelling from other towns just to try them. Over 200 years later, people still make them exactly the same way. The perfect way to eat a stroopwafel: place it on top of a steaming hot cup of tea or coffee. The steam rises up and warms the gooey caramel syrup inside until it's all melty and perfect. And that orange colour that pops up everywhere, that comes from their royal family, called the House of Orange. On King's Day, which happens every April, the entire country explodes into orange madness. Orange clothes, orange decorations, orange food, orange face paint, orange wigs, even orange boats floating down the canals. It's like someone pressed a giant orange button and the whole country just bursts into the happiest party you've ever seen. See how everything connects? Those flat fields perfect for growing millions of tulips, the water everywhere perfect for windmills, the cycling culture perfect for going to cheese markets and flower festivals. Everything fits together like a beautiful puzzle. You know about those incredible orange celebrations. Now let me tell you exactly why orange is so special to Dutch people. The Dutch flag has 3 bold stripes, red at the top, white in the middle, and blue at the bottom. Red stands for courage, white represents honesty, and blue means loyalty. This flag has been flying proudly for over 400 years, through storms and sunshine, celebrations, and quiet everyday moments. But when Dutch people really want to show their excitement, when they're celebrating King's Day or cheering for their football team, out comes the orange. Orange banners streaming from windows, orange crowns on everyone's heads, orange everything you can possibly imagine. The reason is their royal family, the House of Orange-Nassau. Even though the flag is red, white and blue, orange is the royal colour, and it makes everyone feel connected to their country's long, proud history. Their national anthem is called Het Wilhelmus, and it's one of the oldest national anthems in the entire world. When it plays at special ceremonies or football matches, Dutch children and grown-ups stand quietly together and listen. It's a moment when everyone, from busy Amsterdam to quiet countryside villages, feels like they're part of the same amazing story. But here's something that always makes me smile. The national animal of the Netherlands is a lion, a great big, fierce, magnificent lion. But, and here's the funny bit, there isn't a single lion living anywhere in the Netherlands. Not one. You won't find lions in Dutch forests or Dutch zoos from the olden days. Nowhere. So why did they choose a lion? Long ago, when the Dutch were fighting for their independence, they needed a symbol that showed exactly what kind of people they were. They chose the lion because lions are known as the bravest, strongest, most protective animals in the world. The Dutch lion, if you ever see him on coins or buildings, holds a sword in one paw for protection and 7 arrows in the other. Those 7 arrows represent the 7 original provinces that decided to join together and become one strong country. It's actually perfect when you think about it, just like those amazing people who built an entire country below sea level. The lion shows what happens when you're brave enough to try impossible things and smart enough to work together to make them happen. You'll spot this brave lion everywhere, on coins that jingle in people's pockets, carved into the walls of important buildings, painted on the royal coat of arms. Even though there's not a single real lion padding around Dutch streets, these symbols, the red, white and blue flag flying in the wind, the ancient anthem that connects everyone, that joyful orange colour that lights up celebrations, and the brave lion that shows their courage, they help every single Dutch person feel like they belong to something special, whether they live in the bustling heart of Amsterdam or in quiet villages surrounded by tulip fields. They're all part of this incredible story about courage, creativity, and building something wonderful together. And that, my friend, is pretty amazing, don't you think?